Here's your news for August 9th, 2020. And your headlines for today include WWE fans uncover more names about Retribution members. Former WWE superstars slams Raw Underground idea. Zelina Vega was attacked on live TV during interview. WWE wrestler returning to in-ring action after retiring from a life-threatening and career-shortened injury. WWE unhappy about AEW's success on Wednesday nights. Drew McIntyre admits where WWE SummerSlam is likely to be. Two former WWE superstars set to testify against the company in Saudi Arabia lawsuit, and more. We are kicking off today with news from Retribution. As though the group have caused chaos as of late, Bronson Reed isn't afraid. As one of the biggest men on the NXT roster, Reed towers over the Retribution members and in a tweet said he could have smashed the group by himself. Reed isn't the only person to make note of the group's collective height, as Hurricane Helm said the group's members look like they're 15, whilst Disco Inferno compared them to AEW's Dark Order. Current superstars have also weighed in on the group, as Drew Gulak joked that the group should change their name to Retribution, complete with attires from different decades each week. Though we can't see the WWE making their new stable into a joke, we'll have to see if any taller members are added to the group down the line. And with male and female superstars being a part of Retribution, it'll be interesting to see who is beneath the hoods. Over to AEW now, and although Kenny Omega teased the company introducing trios titles during Chris Jericho's cruise, not everyone is on board with the idea. While speaking to Fightful, FTR said they are against any six-man titles for the time being, equating the rumored gold to trying to run before they could walk. The former Revival also added that once the tag team division is built up, then they'll be fine with trios titles, and even said that Chris Jericho would be their choice for a third man, though he's already occupied with the Inner Circle. Time will tell whether the company ends up introducing trios titles, as they were supposed to debut on the next Jericho cruise, though given the current situation, Y2J won't be setting sail for quite some time. Back to WWE now, and this week's episode of SmackDown saw Stephanie McMahon appear via a video link. According to Wrestling News though, Stephanie's segment with Sasha Banks and Bayley was shot without any crowd in attendance, and crowd noise was instead pumped in, though it's unclear why this was done. The company also made use of unique camera angles and darkened the venue so that fans at home wouldn't see the empty seats, whilst a green screen was also used, with WWE inserting Stephanie into the segment in post-production. Stephanie appeared to inform the role models that a tri-branded Battle Royal next week will determine Bayley's SummerSlam opponent, and whilst WWE opted to only record one episode of the Blue brand this week instead of the planned two, they also had to make a special effort to get this segment filmed without a crowd. One woman who could appear in next Friday's Battle Royal is Zelina Vega, but that won't happen if Bianca Belair gets her way. This week, Vega was being interviewed via Twitch by Kayla Braxton, and despite a rocky past with Braxton, the interview was going fine, until Vega turned and asked someone off camera what they were doing in her house. That mysterious figure turned out to be Belair, as the EST of WWE jumped into frame to tackle Vega, whilst Braxton could do nothing but watch the ensuing brawl. This fight caused Braxton's interview to end and the call to be cut, and after WWE hinted at some beef between Belair and Vega on Raw this week, this is a very unique way for their storyline to continue out of the ring. We're sticking with WWE's women's division next, as Mandy Rose was known as God's greatest creation, until her former friend Sonya Deville gave her a new look. After having chunks of her hair cut out by the former MMA fighter, Rose appeared on SmackDown this week with shorter hair and a new hashtag where she describes herself as God's greatest soccer mom. This term was also used by Corey Graves during this week's SmackDown and quickly spread on social media, and it's good to see that Rose is owning her new look even if she didn't want it in the first place. Back over to AEW now, as Shawn Spears has been doing big things in the company ever since he left WWE, but it turns out that this nearly didn't happen. While speaking to Louis Dangoor this week, Spears explained that though his career on screen didn't go as he wanted, the company respected the skills he and his longtime friend Tyler Breeze brought to the table, and even offered him work backstage. He said, "In WWE, we were relied on a lot to help younger talent. We enjoy helping younger talent. I was asked to be a coach on numerous occasions before I left. This isn't the first time we've heard about Spears being touted for his in-ring work, as when Cody Rhodes signed the former Perfect 10 to AEW in the first place, he described Spears as a good hand. Recently, Spears admitted that even though he works for AEW, he still watches NXT each and every week, and it seems the WWE may be regretting letting such a talented member of their roster go. From one former WWE superstar to another now, as Tyson Kidd was forced to retire after a career-ending injury in 2015, but that may not be the end of the former WWE Tag Team Champion. On social media, Kidd's wife Natalya posted a video of her husband training in a ring, in arguably the best shape of his life, leading to speculation that he'll soon be back. At this point, there's no concrete reports that Kidd will make a comeback, but given the fact that he's rolling in the ring and moving just like he did before, this is a good sign. Kidd's career-ending injury happened during a pre-Raw dark match in 2015, when a muscle buster from Samoa Joe damaged Kidd's neck, requiring him to get 16 staples, 4 screws, and a rod in his neck, and there were genuine fears at the time that he could have been paralyzed. Since 2017, Kidd has been working in WWE as a producer, and given that Daniel Bryan and Edge were able to return from career-ending neck injuries in 2018 and 2020 respectively, it's possible that the Hart Dungeon graduate could be back in the ring in the near future. Now, if you've been watching wrestling on Wednesday nights, you'll know that AEW Dynamite usually defeats NXT in the ratings war, and unsurprisingly, WWE isn't too pleased about that. Over the past year, WWE have tried plenty of ideas to get fans tuning into the Gold brand, including having established main roster stars like Finn Balor and Charlotte Flair move to NXT, and most recently, beefing up the brand's writing team. In the latest edition of the Wrestling Observer newsletter, it was noted that although WWE doesn't want to admit it, the success of All Elite Wrestling is a thorn in their side. The report reads, "Although nobody will say it, there is a lot of unhappiness about losing in the ratings every week. The unhappiness shouldn't be losing as much as the complete inability to draw those under 50. NXT has always had writers, but they were people who were on the main roster writing team who would also help write NXT. WWE now has 5 executive writers for NXT to help generate more interest in their product, but for now, the company needs more fans under 50 tuning in, as the 18 to 49 demographic is one that AEW constantly beats them in." We are looking ahead to SummerSlam next, as there's still no confirmed location for the biggest party of the summer. So far, there's been plenty of rumored locations for this month's pay-per-view, including the Performance Center, on the beach, and even on a boat, something that WWE Champion Drew McIntyre addressed recently. Speaking to TV Insider, the first-ever Scottish WWE Champion said that hosting SummerSlam on a beach or a boat would certainly be unique, something that the company is all about right now. He added, "We're trying to catch people's attention with something different. The environment at the Performance Center is what it is, but a boat would certainly catch my attention." Though fans were pleased to see McIntyre defeat Brock Lesnar for the WWE title at WrestleMania, this has led to the Scotsman being scrutinized by fans and critics, especially as he tries to carry the company during these unprecedented times. In that same interview, McIntyre said he doesn't let the critics get to him or distract him, adding, "I know a lot of previous champions have let it get to them. They've suffered in their personal life as a result and lashed out on social media. I don't allow it to get to me from that standpoint." Time will tell whether McIntyre remains WWE Champion after he faces Randy Orton at SummerSlam, but for now, it seems nothing will distract the champ from trying to represent the company during the ongoing situation. And we're ending today with news from WWE's legal battles over Saudi Arabia, as the company is facing a lawsuit by investors who claim they were misled by the company. The lawsuit stems from Crown Jewel 2019, when WWE superstars were forced to stay an extra day in the Middle Eastern nation. And whilst WWE has said that this was because of a mechanical fault with the plane, others have reported that it was due to conflict between Vince McMahon and the Saudi royal family. One person who has been very vocal against WWE is former commentator Hugo Savinovich, who addressed the lawsuit once again with some big news. He said, "I'm also being informed there are possibly 2 more wrestlers who participated in that event, Crown Jewel 2019, who would be willing to testify against WWE. I can't assure you it yet, but 2 wrestlers who would be willing to say publicly what happened in Saudi Arabia." WWE's attorney Jerry McDevitt has blasted the rumored McMahon-Saudi conflict as a fake story caused by bad journalism, though if Savinovich is telling the truth about the former superstars testifying about what happened in 2019, things could go from bad to worse for WWE.